皆様ごきげんよう。メイド水木のなら配信へようこそいらっしゃいました。Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mizuki's stream. Today we're going to be continuing with 夏の彼方。本日もね、じっくりと夏の彼方やっていこうと思います。マリオさん、カソタニさん、ディオセフさん、待機ありがとうございます。Thank you all so much for waiting. ちょっとたった今、なんとなく、荒谷さん、こんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。そう、ちょっとたった今ね、ツイッターの方で、ちょっとだけツイートしたんですけど、日本語でね。So I just tweeted a little bit on Twitter, but if you're wondering why I'm streaming a lot lately, it is because I have finally decided on the day that I'm going to be holding my last stream. 最後のね、配信をする時期を決めまして、10月の10日をもって一度休止期間に入らせていただこうと思っております。Sorry, this has nothing to do with the game, but I am going to go on a hiatus after doing my last stream on October 10th. And so I'm kind of like trying to stream as much as I can so that I can spend as much time with you. なんかちょっとできるだけね、配信をして皆様と一緒に過ごす時間を増やしておいてね、それから休止期間に入れたらなって思ってるので、まあそういう感じです。So you won't see me for possibly, I don't know, like 4 months, 5 months, hopefully not 6 months. ちょっとね、まだ帰ってくる時期わかんないんですけどね。まあでも少なくとも4ヶ月、5ヶ月、半年はいかないんじゃないかなと思うんですけどね。皆様とお会いしなくなるのでね。そう。今のうちにね、たくさん皆様と時間を過ごせたらなと思っております。Okay, so really quick recap. ちょっとパパッとね、前回までの夏の彼方やろうかなと思います。ちょっと待って。OK。ちょっと前回まで何が起こったかというと、一旦私どもはパソコンから離れて夏野ちゃんの世界とおさらばしたんですけど、1年経ってちょっと思うことがあって戻ってきましたと。So what happened was that we have decided to leave Natsuno's world and didn't touch the computer that connects to her for a whole year. But then, after a whole year, we went back just to figure out that it has only been like a week in her world. まあ1年経って戻ってきたんですけれども、なんと夏野ちゃんの世界では1年どころか1週間しか経ってなかったということに気づきました。でですね、夏野ちゃん一旦携帯捨ててたんですけれども、携帯拾ってくれまして。で、見知らぬ少女と謎の少女と出会ったところで昨日は終わりましたね。We ended at a point where we met a mysterious girl, unknown girl, and she was talking to Natsunoちゃん saying, "Oh, so you are Natsuno." ってことで、やっと見つけたっていうことでね。まあ、早速始めていこうかなと思います。いつも通り日本語で読みながら、英語でね、英語に訳しながら行こうと思いますので、ゆったりと見ていただけたらなと思います。おひちゃん、Good evening! こんにちは。Thank you so much for joining. ありがとうございます。As always, I will be reading this in Japanese, but translating into English as I go, so feel free to just lay back, get comfy and get cozy and just enjoy. まあ、ってことでね、お水ちょっと飲みながら行きますね。ハッキーさんこんばんは。また参りましたということで、ようこそいらっしゃいました。Good timing. We haven't started yet. We're about to start. では始めますね。次の物語を進めます。この声が聞こえる？ Can you hear this voice?聞こえるんだよね。You can hear it, can't you? そのスマホを通して私の声が。Through that phone, you hear my voice. 一度、何でもいいから返事をしてほしい。Doesn't matter what it is, I would like for you to answer me. どうしよう。はい。はい。はい。 ありがとう。Thank you. 聞こえるよ。あなたの声。I can hear your voice. そうか。あなたは本当に今そこにいるんだ。I see. So you really are there. そうだね。説明するよ。I will explain. 私には説明がいらないけど、I don't need an explanation, but 君たちには説明しないといけない。I will have to explain it to you. 私はいつか。I am いつか。By the way, いつか can be directly translated into sometime. 説明しないといけないのは What I have to explain is そう。だからどうして私には説明がいらないのかってこと。What I have to explain is the fact that I don't need an explanation to all of this. おう、興味深いですね。It looks like she knows the secret to the world. なんか世界の疑問点なんか知ってるみたいな。世界の不思議、謎を知ってるみたいな。そんな感じかな。最初に声を聞いたのは半年とちょっと前。The first time that I heard the voice was a little bit before 6 months ago. 朝目が覚めたら声が聞こえた。I woke up one morning and heard a voice. 一人暮らしの小さな部屋なのに I live in a room all by myself alone. すぐそばで誰かが話してるみたいに声が聞こえたんだ。But I heard a voice as if somebody was talking right next to me. 二度寝して目を覚ましても外に出ても声は止まらなかった。止まなかった。I went back to sleep, I woke up, I went out, but it didn't help or it didn't change. I could still hear the voice. 誰もいないのに声だけが聞こえる。Nobody's around, but I can just hear the voice. その日から、since then, ずっと誰かの声が聞こえてた。I could always hear somebody's voice. 起きてる間はずっと。The whole time that I was awake. 声は私に話しかけてるんじゃなくて、独り言とか、別の誰かと話している声とか、電話してるみたいな声とか。The voice was not talking to me, but it was talking to oneself, itself, or it seemed as if the voice was talking to somebody else, or maybe calling somebody. あ、モメントさんこんばんは。壁の薄いアパートで隣の人の声が聞こえてるみたいな、そんな感じ。It felt like an apartment, a room with really thin walls where you can sometimes hear the voice of your neighbors. いつも同じ人の声だった。It was always the voice of somebody, the same person. It was always the same person. 女の人の声。A female voice. 向こうの声は私に聞こえるけど、That voice could be heard to me, but 私の声が向こうに届いてるわけじゃなかった。It didn't mean that my voice was being heard on the other side. この声は届けられない。My voice could not be delivered. 私は一方的に聞いてるだけ。I was listening to it just one way. その人だって私に話しかけてるわけじゃない。The person wasn't also talking to me either. 聞かれてるなんて思ってもない。The person probably wasn't even thinking that they were being heard. だから会話はしてない。So It wasn't technically a communication. でも、何日も聞いてると、なんとなくいろいろ分かってくる。But listening to it every day, I slowly start to understand. その人の暮らしとか、住んでるところのこととか、how the person is living, what kind of place they're in, どんな部屋にいて、どんな家族がいるのかとか、like, what kind of room they live in, what family members they have, どんな世界に生きてるのかとか、and also about what kind of world they live in. ずっと遠いところにいるんだと思った。I always thought that that world was really far away. その人はずっと遠くのこの世界じゃないどこかにいるんだって。That person lived somewhere really far away, somewhere that was not in this world. そう。私には一方的に声だけが聞こえてたんだ。Yes. To me, the voice just started coming to me one way. 君が、夏野がそのスマホであなたの声を聞いてるみたいに Just like you, Natsuno, is listening to your voice through the smartphone. Wait, so does that mean that she could hear my voice? 私の声がずっと聞こえてたってこと？けど、しばらくして声はいきなり聞こえなくなった。After a while, the voice stopped. 何ヶ月もずっと聞こえてた声が急に止んだ。The voice that I could hear for months all of a sudden stopped. それがちょうど1ヶ月前。That was exactly a month ago. 少しの間、何も聞こえなかった。I couldn't hear anything for a little while. 世の中は慌ただしかったけど、私にとっては静かな毎日だった。The world was going crazy, but for me, it was a quiet, peaceful time. 静かすぎて不気味なくらいだった。It was almost scary, being so quiet. でも、あの日、また声が聞こえるようになった。But then that day, I started to hear the voice again. けど、それは今までの声とは別の人の声で、But that voice was of a different person. あの女の人じゃなくて、It wasn't that lady. そう、yes. それがあなた。It was your voice. スマホの向こうのあなたの声だった。It was your voice that I can hear now through your phone. うん。今でも聞こえてる。Yes. I can also still hear it. そのスマホのスピーカーの音じゃなくて、It's not the speaker from that smartphone, but 私には、to me, あなたの声が直接聞こえてる。I can hear your voice directly. 耳元で話されてるみたいに as if you're talking right next to my ears. すぐそばにいるみたいに as if you're right next to me. ほー。Well, that's different. ってことは、夏野ちゃんだけじゃなくて他の人も声聞こえてる人がいたってことですよね。So that means that there's other people who can also hear our voice, right? So it was a different voice back then? Yeah, so for her, for Itsuka, it was somebody different. But, I guess since we have reconnected, she started to be able to hear our voice. そうですね。いつかちゃんにとっては知らない人の声だったのが今度は私の声、私どもの声になったってことですもんね。Interesting! It's very interesting! はい。どういうことなんでしょう。次の物語に進みます。Let's continue on. それって、that means 私と同じ that's the same as I。Sorry, I'm really bad at like making different voices. いや、今更なんですけど、私ね、言い訳ってのが語り分けなんていうの別の声出すみたいなのめっちゃ苦手なんですよ。なんか、だから分かりにくいかも。So sorry if you can't understand it well if you're just listening to it. But I'm trying to make a higher pitch voice for いつか。いつかちゃんはもうちょっとなんか高めの声でね、頑張ろうとしています。頑張る。大丈夫、よかった。あ Hello, I'm late. No worries, you're not late. It's all good, Hazel-san. So real quick recap. This girl is Natsuno. She lives in a post-apocalyptic world and we can contact her through the smartphone. She figured out that she is acting as an antenna and her body seems to be changing into something different. It wasn't the smartphone that she was talking to. Her body was kind of like acting as an antenna so that we could talk to her. We just met this girl called Itsuka and she is telling us that she has been hearing other people's voices throughout all this time that they have been in an apocalypse, but starting like a while ago she started hearing my voice, the voice that I was talking to Natsuno. So we'll see how it goes. だってね、こんばんは。そう、Natsunoと同じで私の体にも君たちが言う変容が起きてる。Yes, just like Natsuno, my body is changing. As you say, 体がおかしくなってる。My body is going weird. 半年前から私の体はそうだった。My body was like that from already half a year ago. 言っても誰も信じてくれなかったし、一方的に聞こえるだけだからこのことをスマホの向こうのあなたやあの女の人に伝えることはできなかったけど、Nobody believed me even if I tried to explain, and it was just that I was the recipient, and so I couldn't really talk to people like you or that lady that I was listening to. 世の中がパンデミックで騒ぎになる前から私はこうだった。Even before the pandemic started in this world, I was like this. 何? What? No. なんていうか、別にいいんだけど、It's not big deal, but それってつまり、私の話してたことも今まで全部聞こえてたってことだよね。なんか変なこと言ってなかったかなって思って。So that means that you were able to hear my conversations, right? I'm just trying to think back to if I have said anything weird. ああ、私に聞こえるのはスマホの向こうのあなたの声だけで、夏野の声は聞こえてない。Oh, what I could hear was just a voice from the smartphone, and I couldn't hear your voice, 夏野。あ、そうなんだ。Oh, I see. 私が夏野のことを知ってるのは、聞こえる声が誰かと話してるのが分かって、どうもそれがこの世界の誰かで、その人が夏野って呼ばれてるって話を聞いてて分かったから。The only reason why I know Natsuno is because that voice, I could tell that that voice was talking to somebody, and it seemed like that it was somebody of this world, and I knew that that person was called Natsuno. I could understand it by listening to the voice or listening to the talks. ちょっと待って。Did I just ぐるぐる？待ってごめんなさい皆様。今ぐるぐるしました？だから君の声は今日初めて聞いた。So your voice, this is the first time that I'm hearing it. そうなんだ。I see. じゃあ、あなたはいつかはどうしてここに？ No, oh good. And so then, いつか you, how did you... どうしてって What do you mean by how or why? 今までずっと理由もわかんないまま一方的に聞こえてた声が誰かと話してるっぽくて、しかもその人はこの世界のどこかにいるっぽくて。ちょっと続こう。そうなったらその人探すでしょ。So she doesn't personally know her. Yeah, she doesn't personally know her, it seems like. I mean, wouldn't you go looking for that person if you could hear a voice without any reason, and that voice seemed like it was talking to somebody, and that person seemed to be living in this world? Wouldn't you go look for that person too? まあ、そっか。Guess you're right. それに、いや、それより、anyways、私も聞きたいことがある。There's something I want to know too. あなたの声が聞こえるようになる前、最初に聞こえてた女の人の声。あれは、Before I was able to hear your voice, that voice of a lady that I could hear, that lady, あれは多分、I think that was スマホの向こうのあなたの祖母の声だよね。It's the voice of your grandmother, isn't it? You, beyond the smartphone. 待って。鳥肌 I'm getting shivers. Oh. やば。By the way, I might not be able to do 3 streams today. It's raining here, and so my internet might not work out. I might do it tomorrow. What? Yeah. おばあさま。If our years is their week, then it's possible. Exactly. そう。4年前ってことになりますもんね。It will mean that it was 4 years ago, huh? そう。覚えてらっしゃるかわかんないんですけれども、このパソコン、おばあ様が、この主人公の方のおばあ様が、の形見なんですよね。I don't know if you remember, but this computer that we are using to connect to Natsuno is a computer of our grandmother, of this person's grandmother, who has been deceased. The first owner of the computer, yes. The first owner of the computer was the grandma. そう、この初めてのオーナー、このパソコンのオーナーはね、おばあ様だったの。いつかは名前を言った。かつて声を聞いていた女性の名前。彼女はその人と直接話ができるわけではない。いつかstated the name. The name of the person, the woman that she was listening to. The person that she wasn't able to communicate with. だから、その名前も彼女が直接尋ねたものではなくて、喋り声から聞き取ったもの。でもきっと間違いないだろうといつかは言った。So that name was also not something that she asked personally, but something that she listened to. But she said that it shouldn't be a mistake. そしてそれは、and that was 確かに祖母の名だった。It was my grandmother's name. 1年前に亡くなった祖母、my grandmother that passed away a year ago. このコンピューターの元々の持ち主、the original owner of this computer. いつかは祖母の声を聞いていた。いつか has been listening to my grandmother's voice. 祖母が亡くなる前、もう60年も前、まだこのコンピューターが物置にしまわれる前に。What? Itsuka was listening to my grandmother. Before she passed away, it has already been 60 years. Before this computer was stored into the garage. It has been that long. 待って、そんなに時間かかってたの？ So in the end, it still links to the computer. It seems like it. 60年前って何？ How can it be 60 years ago? 60年前ってめっちゃ前じゃない？いや、めっちゃ前なんですけど。I honestly don't know how to react to that. Okay, I guess we'll continue on. 続きいけますか？60年前。So that means that his grandmother used this when she was young? Is that what it means? ってことは、この方のおばあ様が若い時に使ってたものってこと？ 60 年前にコンピューターってあったの？ Sorry, this is probably a really dumb question, but did computers, like personal computers, exist 60 years ago? I mean, this is a game, so I guess not. Possibly? パーソナルコンピューターは60年前ないですけど。まあでも行ってみましょう。I guess we'll just go. 頭が痛いね。It's a lot more complicated than we thought, huh? あなたの祖母の声に間違いないと思う。私の体の変容はきっと夏野に似たようなもので。I am pretty sure it was your grandmother. The change in my body is probably very similar to Natsuno's. でもスマホを通さずに声が直接聞こえる。そしてその代わり私の声はあなたのコンピューターに届かない。But your voice is directly getting sent to me, and instead of that, my voice will not be heard from your computer. じゃあ、いつかは、and then いつか、私の体が変容するより前から、そのコンピューターと通信してたってこと？ So then you, いつか、does that mean that you have been connecting to the computer way before my body started to change? そう、yes. けど、but 私の聞いてた声はおばあさんって感じじゃなかった。But the voice that I was listening to didn't sound like a grandmother. 私より年下か年上だとしてもちょっとだけってくらいの若い女の人の声だった。It sounded like a voice of a woman who sounded almost as if she was younger than me, or maybe just a little bit older than I am. でも、いつかがその声を聞いてたのは半年前で。But then that voice that you were listening to, いつか was only half a year ago. So, yes. 私にとっては半年前だけど。For me, it was half a year ago, but つい先日君たちが体験したように、私たちとスマホの向こうのあなたとでは、時間の進み方が違う。But just as you experienced earlier, for us and for you beyond this phone, the speed of time is different. そっか、確かに。I guess you're right. Oh. Game is probably in the future. First PCs were from around the 80s, I believe, but extremely rare. Oh, I see. But yeah. 平成32年って書いてありましたからね。So it did say that this was the 32nd year of Heisei, but in reality, the era of Heisei only exists until the 31st year. So this is a fictional world after all. まあでも確かにこれ平成32年なんでね。平成は31年までだったんで、実際平成32年は存在しないフィクションの世界なんでね。Would be funny if the game is in the future because Natsuno's phone is an older iPhone. It looks small, doesn't it? It does look really small. まあ確かに夏野ちゃんの iPhone ってかスマホめっちゃちっちゃく見える。少なくともこうして話している間は同じように時間が進んでるようだけど。I mean, it does seem like we are going through the same time when we are talking like this, but 通信がつながっていない時間はそうじゃない。But when we are not connected, it's not like that. おそらく向こうのあなたの世界の方が早く時間が進む。When we are not connected, you, beyond this phone, your world goes on faster in speed. あなたの祖母の声が聞こえてた時もそうだった。聞こえてる声から想像することしかできなかったけど。When I could hear your grandmother's voice, it sounded similar. I could only but imagine from the voice that I could hear, but 明らかに私にとっての時間の進み方とは違った。It sounded very different from the speed of the time that I was experiencing. 私は一晩寝て起きただけなのに、聞こえる声の方はもう1週間以上経ってるみたいなことはザラだった。For me, it would just be a one night sleep, but then for the other side, it sounded like, for the voice that I could hear, it sounded like it has already been more than a week. 時間の進み方が違う。本当何が起こってるんだろう。The speed of time is different. I really wonder what is going on. 私たちの世界とあなたの世界、何が同じで何が違うんだろう。Our world and your world. I wonder what is different and what is the same. 違うことばっかりだと思うけど、I'm pretty sure a lot of things are different, but 時間の他にもう一つ明らかに違うって言えることがある。There's another thing that I can claim that it is different other than time. パンデミックのこと？ You mean the pandemic? それもそうだけど、I guess that is one of them, but そうじゃない。It's not that. 何？ What is it? これはあくまで私の個人的な想像で、かつて聞こえてたあなたの祖母の声からなんとなく感じ取ったことで、だからその印象、ただの印象以上のことは言えない。This is all but just my guess, and it was just something that I felt from listening to your grandmother, and so I cannot speculate too much, but でも私は確信してる。But I think I know. それと同時にどういう言葉で言ったらいいのか今でも悩んでる。But then at the same time, I'm trying to come to the understanding or come to the conclusion of what kind of words I'm supposed to use to explain this. あるのは印象だけで、感覚的なものでしかない。It's just a feeling, and it's just almost a feeling, it's just emotions, almost. けどあえて言葉にするなら But then, if I were to choose words 私たちとあなたたちとでは寂しさについてあまりにも違う For me and you There's a huge difference in loneliness She said loneliness寂しさ loneliness その言葉を聞いたとき息が止まった When I heard that term, that word my heart stopped ずっと彼女が言ったのと同じことを感じていた自分と彼女はきっと同じことを感じている I was always feeling as if what she was saying was how I felt that her and I was feeling something very similar. だから、これはただの偶然ではない。And so, this is not a coincidence. 勘違いではない。It is not just a thought. 自分と彼女たちとでは、あまりにも違っている。Between they and I,There's something that is so very different. この心が感じる寂しさについて This feeling of loneliness that my heart is feeling. 自分や祖母、me and my grandmother。この現実の世界で生きている人々は、夏野やいつかが寂しさと呼ぶものを多分知らない。Me and my grandmother, we who lives in this real world, doesn't really know what 寂しさ loneliness means, the word that Natsuno and Itsuka uses often. Wait, does that mean that the idea of loneliness just doesn't exist? それって寂しさっていう言葉の概念自体が存在しないってことなんでしょうか？それとも、どうなんだろう？ I wonder. Or do you think it maybe means that like just the meaning behind the word is so different? それとも、なんて言うんでしょう。この言葉、寂しさっていう言葉が持つ意味自体が全然違うってこと？わからないや。あ、セラさんこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。今ね、向こうの世界とこちらの世界の大きな違いっていうのをね、ちょっとお話ししてました。大きな違いは、時間の進み方が違って、でもそれだけじゃなくて、寂しさっていう言葉の意味合いが違うのか、概念自体が存在しないのかみたいな、そういうのを話していました。Or it could be like how being lonely in the post-apocalyptic world feels different to being lonely in a normal world. It can be, but I have a feeling like it's a lot more bigger of an issue. I don't know. I guess we'll see. 続き言ってみましょうね。それって、寂しいって思わないってこと？ Does that mean that you just don't feel lonely? いや、no. 寂しさを感じないわけではないと思う。I don't think it doesn't mean that they can't feel loneliness. 寂しさという言葉は通じるし、意味も伝わってる。The term loneliness can be understood, and the meaning also seems to be the same or similar. Or it seems like the meaning is being, well, I guess understood. けど、but あなたやあなたのそばが感じる寂しさは、私たちの感じる寂しさとは違う。But the feeling of loneliness that you and your grandmother is feeling is very different from the feeling of loneliness that we are feeling. Is loneliness causing their bodies to change? I'm starting to feel that way too. 私たちが感じてるのよりずっと希薄で小さな感覚なんだと思う。I have a feeling that the feeling of loneliness on the other side is a lot more vague and smaller of a feeling. 寂しさを感じにくい？ It's harder to feel lonely? そうだね。Yes. 夏野はこの人と二人で話すことが多かったから気がつかなかったのかもしれない。Since you, Natsuno, you have been talking to this person one-on-one all of these times, so you might have not realized it, but でも半年前 but half a year ago あの人の声を一方的に聞いてることしかできなかった私はあの人があの人の世界の別の誰かと話をしているのを聞くことも多かった。For me, as a person who was listening to the lady's voice all on my own, I also could hear her talking to other people of her own world. それで聞いてるうちに違和感を感じるようになった。And then I started to feel like there is something that wasn't clicking. 話していることが私の感覚とうまく噛み合わないことがある。There's sometimes those moments that it just doesn't click. That feeling that they're describing, the feeling that they're talking about is something very different from what I am feeling. 知識とか世の中の状況とかそういうところではなくて、何かもっと根本的なところで、 あなたたちと私たちとは何か根本的に違う。It's not about knowledges or the situations of society or anything like that, but something a lot more in the core, a lot deeply rooted. There's something that is so very different between you and I. In a world full of people and in a world where people are hard to come by, huh? Yeah, but then it seems like things like that, like the difference has been going on way before that too, though. Like, because, you know, she was able to hear the grandmother's voice, like, even before the pandemic started, so it feels like there really is a huge difference. 物の考え方とか感じ方が違う。そう思えて、それがきっと寂しさなんだって気づいたんだ。I started to feel like the way people think or feel was so very different, and then I came to the conclusion that it is probably loneliness that is so very different between the two worlds. 声を一方的に聞いてるだけでもわかるくらい、あなたたちは寂しさを知らない。I can feel it just by listening to you. You don't know what loneliness is. そうなんだ。I see. そう言われても、正直私はあんまりピンとこない。Even if you explain it that way, it just doesn't... I don't really understand it. あなたと私、そんなに違うかな？ Are we really that different, you and I? だって、寂しいって全然思ってないわけじゃないんでしょ？ I mean, you don't not feel lonely, right? 今までだって普通に Even until now, you were normal. ま、そうだね。寂しさの感じ方なんか人それぞれだし、私の夏野だって同じように感じてはいないだろうと思う。I mean, you're right. The feeling of loneliness or how people feel things are different between, you know, people, and even you and I, Natsuno, I'm pretty sure we don't feel everything the same way. あ、トイスタさんこんばんは。でも、but 私たちとスマホの向こうのあなたはやっぱり違う。But we and you, beyond that smartphone, there's something that is so very different. 全然違う。Completely different. 例えば、for example, あなたは 祖母が何人いる？ How many grandmothers do you have? どういうこと？ I have two. 二人います。I have two. ほんのわずかな時間だけれど、答えるまでに時間が必要だった。It was only a little while, but I did need a little bit of time to answer that question. 思い出すために、in order to remember. もちろん指折り数えなければいけないほどいるわけではない。It doesn't mean that I have to count with my fingers. It doesn't mean that there's that many people, but 祖母で家族なのだからそんなにたくさんはいない。It is my grandmother and it is my family, so I don't have a lot. でも一瞬だけ思い出すための時間が必要だった。But I needed a little bit of a time to figure out how many I have. 今何人だっただろうかと。How many do I have now? そして答えた。And I answered. 祖母が何人いるのか。How many grandmothers I have? 去年の冬、気を紛らわせるために演出した旅先で一人気の合う人と出会ったから。Last winter, I went on a trip to not concentrate on one emotion or feeling, and I met somebody that I got to know really well and felt close to, so 今は now 全部で7人だった。 I currently have 7.祖母は7人いる。I have 7 grandmothers. 最初に祖母ができたのはまだ小さな頃。The first time that I got a grandmother was when I was still young. それから少しずつ増えていって7人。And then slowly, the numbers increased, and I currently have 7. 同じ国に住んでいる祖母もいれば、遠くの国に引っ越してしまってめったに会えない祖母もいる。There are grandmothers that lives in the same country, and there's also some that has moved away to a different country, and those that I cannot meet all the time. 亡くなってしまったのは2人。Two that has deceased. だから、今会って話ができる祖母は5人。So, 5 that I can now talk to. 血のつながった家族はいない。I have no family members that are connected by blood. 中には血のつながった肉親と家族になる人もいるけど、大抵の人はそうではない。There are people who become families with those who share the same bloodline, but that's not really normal. 生まれた後は子供は多くの人の手で育てられる。When a child is born, children are raised by many different people and hands. 生まれた場所の社会によって育てられる。They are raised by society of the place, the land that they are born in. その頃は普通、誰とも家族にならない。Then, at that point, usually, nobody really makes families. みんなが育ての親ではあるけれど、誰も法的な家族ではない。All of them are parents, technically, but none of them are legal parents or family. 分別がつくようになって、お互いのことを理解し合えるようになって、やっと家族になれる。You finally become a family when you start gaining consciousness, when you start gaining understanding, and once you start to understand more about each other. お互いが望んで書類を提出すれば、それで家族になる。When you hope for it, wish for it, and you sign some papers, that is how you become families. 年が近ければ、兄や姉、弟や妹に。When you are closer in age, you become older brothers, older sisters, younger brothers or younger sisters. 離れていれば父や母に。When you are further away in age, fathers and mothers. もっと離れていれば祖父や祖母に。If they are a lot more older in age, they become your grandparents, grandfathers and grandmothers. そうやって気の合う相手と家族になる。And then you become families with those that you have a connection with. 結婚という方法で夫や妻になることもできるけど、there's a way of becoming a family, to become a couple through this idea of a marriage, but 家族になるのはそれよりももっと手軽な方法。But becoming a family is so much easier than that. 家族は共に支え合って生きていくための仕組み。A family is a system for people to live together and help each other. この社会の中で子供は大人に育てられ、老いれば子供に面倒を見てもらう。In this society, children gets raised by adults, and when they're older, they are taken care of by children. 血縁にこだわった古い家族は生まれるより何千年も前に消えてなくなった。The idea of the old family has already been gone way before, decades before I was born. だって、あまりにも非効率だから。I mean, is so inconvenient. It is so inefficient. その方が効率がいいからたくさんの人と家族になれ。It's so much more efficient this way, so you become families with many people. 人が一人で生きるのは難しいから、家族を、社会を作る。It is hard for humans to live alone, so you make a family, a society. 一緒に生きるのは決して寂しいからではない。It is not out of loneliness that you live with somebody else. 寂しいなんて理由で一緒にいたいと思うことなんてない。Loneliness is never the reason to why you want to be with somebody else. So, yes. だから、そう。自分や祖母は、この現実世界の人々と彼女たちとではあまりにも違う。So, between my grandmother and I, us in the real world, and between them, the girls, things are so very different. Well, that was unexpected. ちょっと、ね。ってなってますけれど。That was very unexpected. いや、ってなってる。お年玉毎年やばいですね。お年玉はやばいですね。お年玉 is gonna get crazy. こんなことあるんだ。I thought that they were in a weird world, but the main characters in the world that is not common. 夏野ちゃんたちが変な世界かなと思ってたら、そうじゃなかったみたい。It's a pretty deep thing to think about. Yeah, I mean, like, listening to this, it almost feels like this is maybe our real world might need too. いや、でも確かに聞いてたらなんかこの方法だとちゃんと効率的にお互いが支え合って生きていけるような気がしますよね。I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries, but at least in Japan, one of the biggest problems that we are facing is the number of people who aren't having kids. Like, our population is decreasing so rapidly, and so I feel like this can be the solution. Who knows? いや、まあ日本に住んでたらね、少子高齢化とか言いますからね。ワンチャンこのシステム、そのうち採用されたりしてね。Shall we move on? 次に進みましょうか。私たちとあなたたちとでは感じている寂しさが全然違う。You and I, you guys and we, the idea, the feeling of loneliness is so very different. それは気持ちだけじゃなくて、多分世の中のいろんなところに現れていて、That is not just about the feelings or emotions, but I feel like that has affected the society in so many different angles. 例えば、コンピューターとか、そういうもののありようがいい例だと思う。For example, computers. The existence and the usage of computers, I think that might be one of the things that is so different. あなたの世界では、In your world, ネットワークは情報を素早く手に入れる手段でしかない。The network only exists so that you can get information in a fast speed. そうでしょ? Isn't that right? 私たちの世界にはネットワークを介したコミュニティがある。In our world, there's communities using networks to be together. 確かにネットは何かを調べたりする便利な方法だけど、And yes, the internet is a very convenient way of searching for something, information, but 私たちにとってはそれ以前に誰かとコミュニケーションを取る方法になってる。But for us, before all of that, the internet is a way for us to communicate with others. 電話をしたり、チャットをしたり、calling or chatting、写真を撮ってアップロードしたり、日記を書いて公開したり、 uploading photographs, writing journals and uploading it. それを見て返事を書いたり and responding in comments after reading those. 四六時中ネットを介してつながっている。We are connected 24/7 through the internet. けど、but あなたの世界はそうじゃない。But your world is different. 電話もチャットもあるだろうけど、I'm pretty sure you have phones and chats, but 連絡を取り合う方法ってだけで、用事もないのにおしゃべりしたり、誰かの日記を読んだりするものじゃない。It's just a way for you to contact people, and it's not a tool that you use when you want to communicate or talk to somebody when you don't have anything going on, or a tool for you to just randomly read somebody's journals. もしかしたら it might be that 違うのは寂しさだけ、それだけなのかもしれない。It might be that the only difference is the idea of loneliness. でもその差が世の中を大きく変えている。But that difference in the idea and the feeling of loneliness has changed the world in so many ways. 家族だったり、技術だったり、like the family, like technology. 私たちの世界はあまりにも違う。Our worlds are way too different. So the internet in Natsuno's world was more normal than our world? I think that is it. そうみたいですね。夏野ちゃんたちの世界の方が我々の世界に近い。Like, I feel like they have something so much closer to, like, our world, like, the world that we are in. This is so confusing, but, like, me, Mizuki, and you, chat. So, seems like it. I mean, like, when you think about that, I'm starting to feel like this is also a way. Like, you know, me being a VTuber, now I'm connected to you through the chat and YouTube, and so... Well, yeah. 確かに電話もあるし、チャットツールもある。Yes, we do have phones and chatting devices. 連絡を取ろうと思えばすぐに取ることができる。If I wanted to contact somebody, it will be really easy. でもそれは要件があったから電話をしたり、チャットをするのであって。But I do that only because I have something I have to talk about. And 要件がなければ家族とだって話をしたりしない。If I don't have anything to talk about, anything important, I just wouldn't even talk to my families. 日記をネットワーク上に公開する人もいるけど、とても一般的な行為とは言えない。There are people who would post their journals up on the internet, but it is not common at all. 他人の日記を好き好んで読んだり、四六時中誰かと話をするためにネットを使うなんて、今まで考えたこともなかった。I have never thought of the internet as a way of usage, as to use it to read somebody's journal, or to connect to somebody 24/7. あるいは、or 技術に注目するならもう一つわかりやすい例がある。If we were to connect to the thought of technology, there's a really good example that I have. 天国のこと。It's about heaven. ちょっと待って、wait, what? Plot twist. Natsuno's world was the normal one. Yes, and I think we're gonna find something really crazy now. なんかちょっとやばいことが判明しそうですけれども。夜空に浮かぶ月にある天国。The heaven that exists on the moon that is floating in the night sky. あそこには死んだ人がある。Over there lives dead people. 死んだ人が生き続けている。People who are deceased continue to live there. コンピューターの中の仮想世界の住人として、as people, What the heck is 仮想世界？ちょっと。As people living in a virtual world inside a computer. So like, つまり、仮想世界、バーチャル。But I live in the virtual world too. Does that mean that I'm dead in this person's eyes? ってことは、バーチャルの世界に生きている私もこの方にとっては死んだ人ってこと？仮想世界はコンピューターの中に生み出される仮想の宇宙。The virtual world is a virtual space. A space of virtuality, a virtual space that is born inside the network of a computer. 宇宙そのものを計算機の中に作り出す方法。It is a way to create space inside a calculator, a calculating device. 仮想世界はコンピューターの中にあるけれど、宇宙そのもの。The virtual world is something that exists inside a computer, but it is just space. 今私たちが生きているこの宇宙がコンピューター上の仮想世界ではないと証明できないくらいに。It is almost impossible to prove that the space that we live in is different from the space that exists in the virtual computer world. 懐疑的な計算であるところのシミュレーションとは全く違う。It is different as a simulation that happens as a way of calculation. 待って。私、科学的用語の翻訳下手なんですよね。I'm really bad at translating scientific terminologies. 仮想世界は原子の一粒一粒から無限の広がりがある宇宙をコンピューター上の点にも満たない空間に作り出してしまう。Okay, let's give it a try. The virtual world creates space inside even a small dot that exists in a computer from small atoms. コンピューターを使ってここではないどこかの別の宇宙を生み出す方法といった方が想像しやすいかもしれない。It might be easier to imagine if I said it this manner. It is a way of creating a different space that is not here using a computer. とにかく、そういう仮想世界がこの世界の至るところで生み出されている。Anyways, that virtual world is being created in many different places in this world. その仮想世界を最も多く生み出しているのが天国。The place that has created the most number of this virtual world is heaven. 月面に築かれた施設の中で無数の仮想世界が今も動いている。In a facility created on the surface of the moon, there are multiple. There are numerous different virtual worlds that are being created and moving right now. そこには数えきれないくらいの世界があって、数えきれないくらいの人が生きている。In that place, there are numerous numbers of worlds and there are a crazy number of people that lives there. それぞれの仮想世界はほんの少しずつ違うと言われている。People say that these virtual worlds are different, a little bit different, slightly different from each other. その中にはこの世界と全く同じ姿をしたものもあるだろうし、全然違うものもある。In there are probably worlds that are very similar or the same as this one, or probably worlds that are completely different. もしかしたらあり得たかもしれない無数の可能性が計算され続けている。The endless opportunities and endless possibilities are being calculated, are continuing to be calculated to create more worlds. だから天国にはいろんな人がいる。And that's why in heaven, there are many different people. この世界で生きている人も、この世界には生まれなかった人も、There are people who exist in this world, who were born in this world, and there are those who weren't born in this world either. そしてこの世界ではもう死んでしまった人も、and also those that has been deceased from this world. だから人はあれを天国と呼んでいる。And that is the reason why people call that place heaven. ここで死んでしまった人が今も生きているかもしれない場所という意味を込めて with the meaning behind it meaning that being that people who has passed away in this place might still be alive in that place. けれど天国は死んだ人と会うためにあるわけではない。But heaven doesn't exist as a place for people to run into or to meet people who has passed on. 親しい人が亡くなるのは悲しいことだけれど、その寂しさのために天国が作られたのではない。It is a sad thing to lose somebody that you are close to, but heaven wasn't created to fill up that loneliness that people feel. そもそもコンピューター上の仮想世界は中を覗くことができない。To start with, those virtual worlds inside a computer cannot be seen from the outside. その仮想世界の中で生きている人と話をしたり、暮らしている景色を見ることはできない。We cannot talk to those who live in these virtual worlds or cannot see the scenery that they are looking at. 中を覗こうと穴を開ければ仮想世界は消滅する。If you poke a hole so that you could take a sneak peek into those virtual worlds, that world would disappear. それが針でつついたくらいの穴であっても Even if that hole was so small that it was just a little poke made by a needle. 難解な計算と理論を組み上げていった末にそこに宇宙とあると分かっているだけで It is just that we understand as a conclusion of numberless calculations and numberless facts. We now understand that there is a space that exists over there. But 仮想世界の内側から情報を取り出すことは絶対にできない。It is impossible to take away information or take out information from the inside of those virtual worlds. 仮想世界の中にいる人と話をすることはできない。It is impossible to talk to those who live in those virtual worlds. 空想上の天国がそうであるように。Just like you cannot talk to people who live in that fictional heaven. What do we think? Virtual World Multiverse マルチバース来ましたわね。Do you think that Natsuno lives in one of those virtual worlds? Because I'm starting to feel that way. 私、夏野ちゃんの世界は、つまりシュレディンガーの猫ってことでしょ It's the Schrödinger's cat, isn't it? That we're talking about. That there is a possibility that that world exists, but it was impossible until probably now for people to take a sneak peek into it, but I or we are somehow doing that. なんか猫理論的な感じで今まではね、中に存在はしない、証明することはできるけど存在している可能性があるっていう感じで、まあでも存在しているにちょっとね、寄りかかった感じの思いでいたものがなぜか何かの表紙で夏野ちゃんたちの仮想世界みたいなところとは繋がっちゃったっていうのが私の思いなんですけれどもどうなんでしょう Yeah, virtual multiverse. That's a lot to take in, it is. Are your brains hurting? Because mine is definitely hurting. 皆様どう？脳みそ痛い？私めちゃくちゃ痛い。My brain is hurting like crazy. I wasn't expecting this. いや、こうなるとは、みたいなね。感じですわよ。But then, what are we supposed to do now? でもそしたら、これはどうすればいいんだろう。I was supposed to relax after work. Me too. I came here to relax. 私もなんか、リラックスって来たのに、脳みそフル回転してますわよ。From zombies to quantum mechanics. Yeah. I am not good with those stuff. 私、なんか物理法則とか、I don't know physics. I am not a scientific minded person. 私、理系じゃないの。もうゴリゴリ文系なのでね。Well, my brain is fried from trying to translate. I hope y'all are understanding my really bad translation. なんか翻訳頑張ってしようってのでいっぱいいっぱいなんですけれど。ちゃんと通じてるといいな。Okay, well, we'll continue on. 私たちの世界とスマホの向こうのあなたの世界が全然違うってことは分かった。I think I have came to the understanding that my world and your world beyond this phone is very different. 家族の意味が違う。The meaning of families are different. 私たちの世界の月に天国なんてない。In our world, in our moon, heaven doesn't exist. それは分かったけど、I did understand that, but でも、but それって私たちにとって大事なこと？ Is it something that important for us? 私たちの違いではあるかもしれないけど、It might be a difference between us, but でも別にパンデミックのこととか、こうやってスマホがつながってることとか、いつかにあなたの声が聞こえてるってことは間違いない。関係ないよね。But then, it's no big difference, or there's not really a connection to it. The fact that there's a pandemic going on and that I can connect to you through my phone, and the fact that your voice is being heard by Itsuka, those things, they don't connect, right? 私は、その違いこそが私たちの寂しさこそが全部のきっかけなんじゃないかと思ってる。I am starting to think, I'm guessing that the big difference in loneliness is the reason why and was the cause to all of this. きっかけ？ A cause? 全部。All of it. 私に声が聞こえるようになったのも、夏野のスマホがつながったのも、このパンデミックだって。The fact that I started hearing voices, the fact that Natsuno's phone connected, and even this pandemic. 全部私たちがこの苦しいくらいの寂しさを感じるようになったのが全ての最初に起こったことなんだと思う。All of this, the fact that we started to feel this loneliness that is so hurtful, was maybe the start of all of this. Can it be though? そんなに変わっちゃうもんなんですかね。多分、maybe スマホの向こうのあなたが寂しさを感じないってことがおかしいんじゃない。I'm pretty sure it's not the weird thing that you beyond the smartphone don't feel loneliness. 私たちにはそれが奇妙なことに思えるけど、for us it does feel odd, but 私たちと同じように寂しさを感じないって想像もできないけど、I cannot imagine that you don't feel loneliness as we do, but でも、そうじゃない。But that's not it. おかしいのは、what is weird is that 多分、私たちの方、it is us. 私たちが寂しさを感じすぎている。 We are feeling too much of the loneliness. 異常なくらい寂しいって思ってる。We are feeling way too lonely. It is almost too weird, too odd. それが私たちがこの強すぎる寂しさを感じるようになったのが the fact that we started to feel this loneliness too strong 全部の始まりなんだ。That is the cause and the beginning of all of this. パンデミックはいきなり起こったわけじゃない。The pandemic didn't happen all of a sudden. この強烈な寂しさを感じ始めた頃からこの世界の人々はもうおかしくなってた。When we started to feel this crazy amount of loneliness, that was when the people of this world started to turn into something. 私たちはいつ頃からか強い寂しさに苛まれていて、誰かを探している。We somehow, starting sometime, started to be surrounded by this intense amount of loneliness, intense feeling of loneliness, and we started to look for somebody. 誰かに会いたいってずっと思っている。We have been hoping and thinking and longing to meet somebody. それが寂しいって気持ちの源。That is the source of all of this feeling of loneliness. 私たちはみんなずっと前から誰かを探しているんだ。We have been looking for somebody for so long. But I feel like it's something that we can feel too, though, like, you know, in our world, like, I can't really get off of Twitter, Instagram. いや、でも私たちの世界でもね、なんかずっと私だってツイッター見てたりインスタ見てたりしますからね。その寂しさがいろんなものを作るきっかけになった。That loneliness was the source and the cause of the creation of all of those things. いつも誰かとつながっていられるスマホ。A phone, smartphone that you can be connected to people all the time. 遠い宇宙に誰かを探しに行くためのロケット。A rocket that gets shot to outer space to go look for somebody. 私たちの世界はどうしようもない寂しさを埋めるためのもので溢れている。Our world is filled with things that was created to get rid of that loneliness, or to try to fill up that loneliness, that hole, to fill up that hole. みんなが寂しさにとらわれている。We are all being affected too much by loneliness. 誰かとつながりたい、話していたい、そんな気持ちで溢れている。We have such a strong feeling of wanting to be connected, to talk to somebody. そして、その先に、and then beyond that, このパンデミックがある。There is this pandemic. 誰もが寂しさを感じている。All of us are feeling that loneliness. 誰もが誰かを探し求めてる。All of us are looking for somebody. それが人々の体を変容させた。That has changed people's bodies, physically. 私たちは誰かから呼びかけられたんじゃない。We weren't called by somebody. 私たちの方から、私たちが自分から誰かを探しに行こうとしてるんだ。It is us. It is we that are starting to try to look for somebody. あなたたちは気づいてなかったかもしれないけど、You might have not realized it, but 感染者は誰かとつながりを作るために変容してる。Those zombies, those that were affected, are changing in order to connect to somebody or to something. 携帯端末も、our phones as well. アンテナも、antennas, ラジオも、radios. 花だって、even flowers. 全部誰かを見つけたり、誰かに見つけてもらうためにある。All of them exist to be found by somebody or to find somebody. そして、and だから、そう、私は、あなたたちの声を聞いた。heard your voice。だから、夏野はあなたの世界とつながった。That is why Natsuno was able to connect to your world. 外の世界と to the outside world. So they do live in the virtual world, huh? 仮想世界にやっぱり住んでるってこと？外の世界？ The outside world？ それってどういう？ What is that even? この世界の外。The outside of this world。私たちはこの世界の外につながるためにこんな寂しさを抱えている。We are feeling this loneliness so that we get to connect to the outside world. そう。あなたは Yes, you are. スマホの向こうのあなたは You beyond this phone. この世界の外にいる。You live outside of this world. 私たちのいるこの世界はThe world that we live in is コンピューターの中の仮想世界 is the virtual world existing inside the computer. Okay. Okay. いや、難解ですわね。It's a lot harder for me to comprehend. Okay. Okay. So, but they do exist, right? That's like the hard thing. I mean, I exist, which means people in the virtual world does exist. And so, 私がね、バーチャルの住人である Vtuber である私が存在してるってことは、彼らも実際存在はしてるってことですからね。So, I mean, they do exist, but only virtually. まあでも、どこからが現実でどこからが仮想かってのはわかんないですからね。But at the same time, I feel like it's really hard to figure out where the line gets drawn from, like, you know, what can be considered as existing and what can't be considered as existing. Like, even just thinking about numbers, for example, there's like, you know, in Japanese, there's this idea of numbers called like mugen taisu and stuff. How many zeros does it have? I don't even remember. Mugen taisu. ゼロの数。Okay, like, it's supposed to have 68 zeros after 1, and that's how big the number mugen taisu is, but does that mean that we know something that is that much of a number? Like, I don't think nobody does, but the number does exist in a way. なんか例えばなんですけど、私のね、文系のボロボロのでの考えなんですけれども、バーチャルでどこまでが実在するかって微妙じゃないですか。だってなんか無限対数とか言うでしょ？ 68 個ゼロがあって、でも無限対数個存在する何かって私ども実際知ってるかどうかってわからないわけじゃないですか。存在はするのかみたいな。そんな数数えたことある人がいるわけでもないし。Doesn't mean that anybody was able to count this much of a number anyways, right? And like, you know, we buy data and stuff too. 私ども実際データの売り買いとかするわけですからね。このゲームとかだってね、even like this game or even me. 私もだってある意味データの存在だから。Like, in reality, I exist as a data, and so I do exist. And so, is simulated life not real? How about that Tamagotchi I killed? Well, yeah, you are definitely a murderer. Sorry. I think you have committed a serious crime. そう、たまごっちをね、殺してしまった方々もね、実在の罪に問われたりする可能性もね、とかね。Just kidding. Well, who knows? Well, we'll continue on. ちょっと続きをいきますか。いつかが話したことはすべて彼女の想像だった。What Itsuka spoke was all out of her imagination. 誰かとつながるために感染者は変容している。そうだろうか。Those zombies are turning or changing into something in order to connect to somebody. Is that so? 出会った感染者の中にはとてもそうとは思えないものに変容していたものだってたくさんいたように思う。Those zombies, one of the zombies that we met, some of the zombies that we met, I feel like they were changing into things that didn't really explain her hypothesis either. 寂しさが募り募って人の体があんな風に変わってしまうとは思えない。I cannot really imagine that people's bodies would change like that just out of loneliness. けれど、but たった一つだけJust one thing, 確かなことがある。There's just one thing that is for sure. 彼女が語った、その最後の一言だけは確かだった。The last word that she said was, reality was real. このコンピューターの中で仮想世界が動いている。In this computer exists one of the virtual worlds. 60年も前ね。60 years ago. まだ祖母が生きていた頃から。When my grandmother was still alive. そしてこのコンピューターがどこにも通信してないということは、and the fact that this computer isn't connected to any other networks. それなのに彼女たちの世界とつながっているということは、and the fact that even then I get to connect with their worlds.夏野やいつかの生きる世界は、このコンピューターの中にある。The world that Natsuno and Itsuka lives in does exist inside this computer. Existential crisis over here. Yeah, starting to hurt my brain.脳みそが痛いですわ。あなたたちはどうしてそれを天国なんて呼ぶようになったんだろう。Why did you start to call it heaven? あの人からも、あなたの祖母からも何度かその言葉を聞いたことがある。I have heard that word from her as well, your grandmother. だから天国というのがどういうものなのかなんとなく知っている。So I do understand a little bit about the idea of heaven. いくつもの仮想世界でできた天国。A heaven created by numerous virtual worlds. あなたたちは死を蘇らせるために天国を作ったんじゃないし、死者とお話しするために天国を作ったわけでもない。You didn't create heaven to bring the dead back to life, nor you created heaven in order to talk to those that were deceased. 自分たちが死んだ後行くところを作りたかったっていうのも違う。It is not like you created those places because you wanted a place to go to after death. その天国には死んだ人やまだ生きている人と同じ人が住んでいるかもしれないけど、in that heaven, They might exist those who are dead and also who are still alive, but でもあくまで別の世界であなたたち自身がいるわけじゃない。But it's still a world that is so different. It doesn't mean that you exist. あ、Urban Potato さんこんばんは。How are you? We are trying to understand a really hard storyline, but glad you are here. Thank you for joining. あなたの祖母の言葉を借りると、borrowing your grandmother's words、天国は研究のために作られた巨大なコンピューター群。Heaven is a collection of many computers that was made for the purpose of studying。私たちの世界で言うとスーパーコンピューターみたいなものだと思う。In our worlds, we call it a supercomputer。そこで無数な仮想世界が動いていて、in that place there are numerous virtual worlds existing and いろんな研究ための計算や仮想世界そのものを調べるための実験が行われている。And there's calculations going on for numerous different kinds of studies, and there are experiments that are happening in order to research for those virtual worlds itself。 天国はあくまで研究施設で、 Heaven is simply a research facility。 あなたたちは寂しくて天国を作ったんじゃない。 And you didn't create those heaven just because you were lonely。 生きてる人も死んでる人だってそこで暮らしているだろうって想像から、後になって天国なんて呼ぶようになった。Those who are alive and dead, you started to call it heaven from the imagination and from guessing that those who are alive and dead are all living there。 私たちは、あなたたちがそうやって仮想の世界を作り出す方法を見つけてる間に、遠く離れている人がすぐ隣にいるみたいに思える方法をいくつも作り出した。We, while you in your world, were able to create ways, create those virtual worlds. We were able to create things that allows us to feel those that are far away from us close. 寂しくて仕方ないから。Because we are so lonely. いつでもつながっていたい。話をしていたい。We want to be connected all the time. We want to talk to each other all the time. もちろん私も。And of course, I do as well. こんなことになる前は、毎晩友達と話してた。Before things ended up like this, I have always talked to my friends every single night. ゲームしながら通話をつなげて夜中まで喋ってた。That sounds like us, doesn't it? We were talking to each other all the way to midnight, talking to each other while playing games. ゲームがしたかったんじゃないよ。It's not like we wanted to play the games. ゲームは話をする口実で、Games was just a way, an excuse to talk to each other. ただ一緒にいたかっただけ。And it's just that we wanted to be with each other. It really does sound like us, doesn't it? なんか私どもっぽくないです。いや、ゲームしたいんですよ。I mean, I do want to play games, but if I just wanted to play games, I can play it on my own. 本当にゲームがしたいだけだったら一人でもできますからね。But I like playing games with others, like with you. でも実際私、他の方とゲームをするっていうか、好きなんですよね。だから、こういうことなんだろうな。おかしいよね。It's funny, isn't it? 異常だ。It is unnormal. あなたはきっとそう思うんだろうな。Pretty sure that's how you feel. 今思い返すとどうしてそんなにまでして喋ってたかったんだろうって思う。When I think back to it, I do wonder why I wanted to talk that much. でもやっぱりわかるんだ。But I still do feel it. 誰かと話をしていたい。I want to keep on talking to others. 世の中がこんなことになっても even when the world has turned into something like this. 今でもそう思う。I still feel about it, things this way. Well, we are now into episode 9. エピソード9に来ました。And I believe that we have to go search for things. So I guess we'll go. 探索をね、しなければいけないみたいですので、探索しますか。Wait. Wait, what? Oh, I didn't realize that they were... Wait, what? Is it... あれ? Oh, anyways, we'll go for it. 窓の大きなカフェ There's a cafe with a big window. How pretty. 行きますか。Is it just 夏野ちゃんだけ？夏野ちゃんだけだ。お菓子売り場 We're now at a snack selling place. コンテナ。ごめん。なんでもない。No, sorry, it's nothing. 段ボールを調べてみる。We're looking through a cardboard box. はい。あ、洗濯用洗剤だって。へえ。We found a dish soap. I mean, not dish soap, laundry detergent. That's nice. コンテナ。びっくりした。Come on. Snap. My handgun broke. ハンドガン壊れちゃった。Oh, I forgot about those stuff. 忘れてましたね。こういうのね、あったの。Okay. There's a kettle. Pretty sure the kettle doesn't have any, like, bad things inside. あ、乾麺のたくさん入った箱。We got dried noodles. Finally, I hope it's うどんだといいな。Okay. I guess that's it. 外に繋がれる扉行けますね。Okay. I wanna go back. We don't have a handgun anymore. ちょっとね、ハンドガンなくなっちゃったんで、入ります。Not having a handgun is not okay. ハンドガンないと困るのでね。She's so talented in breaking handguns. I know. All the time. もうほんと夏野ちゃんハンドガン壊すの得意。このコンピューターの中に一つの仮想世界がある。There's a virtual world inside this computer. 月の天国にあるのと同じ仮想の世界。Just like how heaven exists on the moon, the virtual world. この仮想世界は理屈の上では一つの宇宙として振る舞う。This virtual world, as a theory, acts as if it's one whole space. 宇宙そのものがここにあると言われている。It is said that one whole space is inside it. このコンピューターはそれなりに古いものだけれど、それでも本当に大昔のコンピューターのように電流を流して0と1を作るような方法で計算しているのではない。十進数じゃない。Wait, we got some really interesting information. This computer is pretty old, but it doesn't act or it doesn't work like the old computers of the olden days, and they don't calculate in the orders of 0 and 1. 今でも習慣で電源という言葉を使うけれど、電気で動いているわけではない。Just out of habit, we still use the word power button, but it doesn't mean that this is moving because of electricity. 仮想世界というのは、そういうコンピューターで計算をするための技術と進歩の途中で偶然見つかったもの。Those virtual worlds were something that was found, in the middle of the evolution in technology and in improvement. 計算するための方法を探しているところで偶然ここに宇宙が生まれることに気づいた。When human beings were trying to find a way of calculating or calculation, they figured out that space can be born inside it. 最初から宇宙なんて作り出そうとしていたわけではなかった。It didn't mean that we were trying or human beings were trying to create space from the beginning. だから、すべてが明らかになっているわけではない。And so, not everything is clear to us either. 理屈の上では宇宙があると分かっているけれど、どうしてその中身を観測しようとすると宇宙が消滅してしまうのかはっきり説明できていない。It is impossible for us to still explain the reason why those space disappears when people try to look inside it, even though in theory we do understand that there's space. 観測という外力があるいは情報がその宇宙を壊してしまうためだとか。People speculate that the power from the outside called looking in or studying, or even the information that comes from the outside is the reason why those spaces break. Those outer space, so to say, breaks. そういう抽象的な言説や仮説がいろいろあるだけ。There's just those very vague hypotheses and guesses. でもそれでも中を覗くことができないというのは事実で。But then it was still the truth that no one was able to look inside. あまりにも正直で。That was the norm. 子供でも知っていることで。Even children know it. だから彼女たちの暮らしているところがこのコンピューターの中にあるだなんて思わなかった。And so it didn't even cross my mind that this world that these girls live in was inside this computer itself. 今でも信じられていない。Even now, I don't think I fully understand or comprehend it. このコンピューターには映像データとして映像と音声が送られてくる。To this computer, I receive things in a way of video data and voice data.それを再生できて、しかもこちらの声を向こうに届けることができる。I am able to play it, and not just that, I am able to send my voice to the other side. まるで通話をしているみたいに、as if we are talking to each other. でも仮想世界から映像が届くなんて、通話がつながるなんて。But then, the fact that videos are being sent from those virtual worlds, the fact that I can connect to them through calls, そんなことはありえない。That is impossible. もし本当にこれが仮想世界なのだというなら、if this really is a virtual world, 一体どうして中にいる彼女たちと話ができているのだろう。Why is it that I'm being able to talk to those girls inside? Well, I wish I knew too. いや、私もね、わかればですけれども。But it really can be because of that feeling of loneliness like they were talking about. まあでも彼女たちが実際話してた通り、そのなんか例の寂しさっていうのが理由だったりしてね。なきにしもあらずだと思いますよ。I feel like it's not impossible. I mean, who knows, right? Okay, I guess we can move on. ちょっと次行ってみましょうか。あ、ごめん。Sorry. いつから聞いてた？ From when were you listening to me? そっか。I see. うん。今起きたとこ。I just woke up. 何時くらいだろう？ I wonder what time it is. まだ暗い。Still dark. 不便だよね。It's inconvenient, isn't it?いつこのスマホがあなたとつながるかわからない。I don't really know when this phone is going to connect to you. 寝起きにつながってることもあるし、夜中私が寝てる時につながっちゃうこともあるよね。 sometimes it connects when I wake up. And does that mean that you sometimes connect to me when I'm asleep at night? けど、but それって私だけなんだよね。But that's just me, isn't it? あなたはあなたが決めた時にコンピューターの前に座っている。You are just sitting in front of the computer when you decide to do so. その時私の世界につながって、and then that's when you connect to my world. それで私の世界とあなたの世界じゃ流れてる時間が違うから。And that's the reason why between my world and yours, the flow of time is so different. あなたにとっての1年が私たちにとって1週間ぐらいだったのは、あなたがずっとコンピュータの電源切ってたから。The reason why your whole year was just a whole week for us was simply because you had your computer off this entire time. なんだよね。あなたのコンピュータが動いてなかったから、私たちの世界は止まってた。時間も流れずに。The reason why our world wasn't moving in time was simply because your computer wasn't on. そのせいで私たちの世界とあなたの世界とじゃ時間の進みが違う。And that is the reason why between my world and yours, the time flow is different. あなたはちゃんと約束守ってくれたんだね。You did keep the promise. もうコンピュータに触らないって1年も。Our promise of not touching the computer, and you did it for a whole year. でも、but 私たちの世界で1週間経ってるってことは、but the fact that it has been a whole week in our world, ちょっとくらい電源つけてみたりしたのかな。Maybe you did turn on the computer once in a while, just a little bit. ねえ。Hey, おばあさんが7人もいるってどんな感じで？ What does it feel like to have 7 grandmas? お父さんやお母さんもたくさんいるんだよね。You have a lot of fathers and mothers too, right? おばあさんが7人もいるって全然想像できないし。I can't imagine having 7 grandmas. どんな感じなのかわかんないけど、I can't imagine what it feels like, but でもあなたにとってはそれが普通なんだもんね。But that is the normal for you, isn't it? 血のつながった人だけが家族っていう私たちの当たり前が Our normal, that it's only those who are connected by blood, our family is あなたにとっては当たり前じゃないんだよね。For you, it's not normal, is it? やっぱり、あなたが寂しいって思わないっていうのが信じられなくて。I still can't believe that you don't feel lonely as much. 思わないんじゃなくて、思うことが少ないんだとしても、even if it's just that you don't feel as lonely often as we do, but あなたは逆にあなたは今までおかしいと思わなかったの？私たちと話をしてて。Well, have you never thought that things were weird talking to us? 家族のこととか寂しいって気持ちのこととかおかしいって思わなかった？ Did you not feel weird or awkward when we talked about families or that feeling of loneliness? そっか。I see.世の中がこんなことになってるんだもんね。そっか。I guess you're right. Our world has changed too dramatically. We're living in a crazy world. 普段通りの生活じゃないし。It is true that this is not the normal life for us either, so. 人と話すことも少ないし。変なことばっかりで。We don't have much of a chance to talk to others and...There's a lot of weird things going on too, so そういうものなんだって思っちゃうよね。I can't blame you for thinking that this is the normal. This is just how we are surviving. 私だってあなたが私たちと違うって気づけたかもしれないけど、I could have as well figured out that we are different, but 私は自分が感染してるかもって気づいてから、あなたと離れ離れになるのが怖くて、あなたのこと知ろうともしなかった。When I realized that I might be affected by the so-called virus, I started to feel scared of leaving you or having to disconnect with you, and I didn't even try to get to know you because of it. あなたの普段の生活のこととか、あなたの家族のこととか、そういうのを知ろうとしなかった。About your normal everyday life, about your family, I didn't even try to get to know about it. 正直、to be honest, 全然時間ないよ。私がいるこの世界がコンピューターの中にあるとかいきなり言われても、I can't really fully accept the fact, or I can't even come to imagine that the world that I live in just exists inside a computer. わかんないよ。I can't even. 誰だってそうでしょ。I'm pretty sure everyone's the same way. わけわかんない。Just doesn't make sense. でも、このパンデミックが始まった時だってそう思ってた。But when this pandemic started, I felt the same way too. わけわかんなくて。Nothing was making sense. Everything was so crazy. でもあっという間にいろいろ変わっていって。But everything changed so fast and dramatically. だから、and so, 多分あなたやいつかの言ってることは本当なんだろうなって思う。実感できないしわけわかんないけど。But what you and Itsuka are saying, I'm pretty sure they're the truth, even though I can't fully understand it and comprehend it. だったら、if so, あなたがそのコンピューター壊しちゃったら、バラバラにしちゃったら、この世界は、if you broke this computer, if you turn it into pieces, and then this world would, 私たちは、we would 消えてなくなっちゃうのかな？ Would we cease to exist? あ、おいしちゃんさん、Thank you for joining. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Well, I guess that is how it goes. でもそういうことなんだろうなって思うんですけれども、どうなんでしょう。I don't know. Who knows, right? Well, guess we're gonna move on. 続きを読んでみましょうかね。それって、that is だから、私たちは、and so we are この世界はゲームみたいな、コンピューターの中のシミュレーションみたいなので、This world is like a game, like a simulation inside a computer. 私は、and I amその中で生きてるってことだよね。Just living in it, doesn't it? 厳密にはそうではないよ。To go into detail, that is not the case. この人が言うように、私たちの想像するようなコンピューターシミュレーションとは違う。Just like this person explained, it is very different from what we understand as a computer simulation. 外の世界のコンピューターがどんな原理なのかは知らないけれど、少なくともこの世界のスマホとは全く違う技術で動いてる。I don't know how the computer of the outside world is moving, but at least this is, the technology that is being used is so very different from the world that we live in and the smartphone that we are using. It's a totally different technology. そこでは宇宙がそのまま再現されていて、 外の世界と同じぐらい紛れもない宇宙らしい。In that place, space is completely and perfectly created, and it is just like outer space, just as it exists in the outside world, in the real world, I guess. だからこれはシミュレーションではない。And so this is not a simulation. でもここは現実じゃないんでしょ？ But this is not the reality, isn't it? 私たちは、we are コンピューターの中にいるんでしょ？ We exist inside a computer, right? そうだね。I guess you are right. この世界がコンピューターの中にあるというのは正しい。It is correct that this world exists inside a computer. コンピューターの電源が切られている間、世界は止まってしまうというのも正しい。The fact that the world stops when the computer is turned off is also correct. そして、and この世界が誰かに作られたものだというのも正しい。It is also correct that this world was created by somebody else. いつかの言う通り、彼女たちの世界はシミュレーションとは違う。Just like Itsuka explained, this world is definitely different from a simulation. この世界にもシミュレーションやゲームはあるけれど、それは仮想世界とは違って誰かが設計をして疑似的な世界を作っている。In this world, we also do have simulations and games, but different from virtual worlds, this is something that some people create and it is a world that people create on purpose. そこには疑似的な空間があったり疑似的なキャラクターがいたりするけれど、もちろんそれは世界とは違うし、意志や人格があるわけでもない。In those worlds, they are spaces, they are place that is created, that is made up, and characters that are made up, but that is very different from worlds, and it doesn't mean that they have their own personalities and consciousness. 仮想世界は誰かが設計して作るものではない。The virtual world is not something that people try to create or people try to, what is it? That people try to design or plan. コンピューターの上に宇宙を生み出すけれど、それがどんな宇宙になるのか全てを決められるわけではない。People get to try to create a space inside a computer, but it doesn't mean that people get to decide everything that goes into that space. そこにはこの世界と同じ方法で時間と空間があって生き物や人が住んでいる。In that world, just like ours, they have their own time, they have their own space, and there's creatures and human beings that lives in it. この世界と同じように原子や素粒子があって、物は光の速さを超えることはない。Just like our world, atoms and elementary particles exist, and things will not、go faster than light. 人の意識だって当然ある。Again, people do have their own consciousness. 彼女たちは疑似的な人格や人工知能ではない。They, those girls, are not AIs or made-up characters and personalities and creatures. でもいつかの言う通り、but just like Itsuka has said, このコンピューターの中に彼女たちの世界はある。They do live in this computer. Their world exists in this computer. 彼女たちはこの世界で生きている。They live inside this world. この現実の世界がどうやって生まれたかはわからない。I do not know how this real world was created. 神様が作り出したのかもしれないし、ある時偶然いきなり生まれたのかもしれない。It might have been created by a god, or maybe it was a coincidence of out of nowhere. でも、but 彼女たちの世界はそうではない。But their world is not like that. 仮想世界は勝手に生まれたりしない。Virtual worlds just don't get created all of a sudden. 誰かがコンピューターを操作してそこに世界を生み出した。Somebody created a world by using a computer. Through a computer. それが今でもこうして動き続けている。And then that is moving for some reason even now. 誰が Who? 一体何のために For what? 誰かについては about that who 多分 I believe 分かってる I know あなたの祖母だろう It is probably your grandmother それは多分そうだと思う I am pretty sure about that あなたの祖母の声が聞こえてた間私はずっと彼女の言葉に耳を傾けていた All those times that I was able to hear your grandmother I have been listening to herそこで分かったことはそんなに多くない。It is not much that I was able to figure out from it, but でも、この世界を作ったのはあなたの祖母だと思う。I do believe that it was your grandmother who has created this world. 私はどうしてこの世界が作られたのか知りたい。I would love to know the reason why this world was created.この世界がコンピュータの中にあるとか、現実じゃないとか、そんなのは私にとっては半年前から分かってたこと。The fact that this world exists in a computer and the fact that this is not the real world was something that I have already come to understand half a year ago. そんなのはどうでもいい。I do not care about such things. 現実でもそうじゃなくてもいい。I don't care if this is real or not.でも、but 私は知りたいんだ。I want to know どうしてこの世界を作ったのか知りたい。I want to know why this world was created あの人が何をしようとしてたのか知りたい。I want to know what she was trying to do そして and もしかしたら maybe それが分かったら when we come to understand it 全部わかるんじゃないかと思ってる。この寂しさのわけもパンデミックの原因も I feel like we are going to be able to understand all of it The reason behind this loneliness And the cause of this pandemic どうして外の世界のあなたとつながっているのかってことも And also the reason why we are able to connect to you from the outside world これは半年前に聞こえてた声から想像したことだけどただの想像でしかないけれどThis is something that I have imagined and guessed from the voices that I have heard half a year ago. And so this is only just a guess, but あの人はあなたの祖母は That person, she, your grandmother 誰かを探していたような Seemed as if she was looking for somebody そんな気がするんだ That is how I feel OK ということで思ってたより謎が大きかったですね I feel like the mystery was a lot bigger than we thought but I mean like it is hard to understand but it does make sense まあでもなんか理解は難しいですけれどもでも土妻は合うんですよねだからなんか私としてはそうだったんだみたいな感じです Like so for me it just feels like oh okay so like that is how it was Like it feels like there are puzzle pieces that are fitting in なんかパズルのピースがちょっと埋まってきた感じな気がしますねTheir world is beyond the capacity of a home PC I know I wonder what kind of PC they're using 普通のパーソナルコンピューターができる規模とは全然違う ていうことでね。So I guess that will be it for today. 本日はここら辺で終わろうかと思います。So I think I have explained that I believe there's 13 episodes in this game. So I will most likely be able to finish this next week. なので、こちらのゲーム確かエピソード13まであったんですよね。なので、来週終わらせることができるのではないかと思います。なのでね、またお付き合いいただければと思います。So I do hope that you will join me next time. And so, also, sorry, I won't be streaming after this today. I just want to make sure that my throat is being taken care of. But, like I explained, I decided that my last stream before my hiatus will be on October 10th. And so, I will be streaming as much as I can in the next month and a bit, and so I hope you join me whenever you can, and I'll be posting as many videos as I possibly can. ちょっと最初の方にも説明しました通り、10月の10日を正式な休止前の最後の配信の日とさせていただこうと思いますので、それまで1ヶ月間ね、皆様とできるだけ時間を過ごすことができたらと思っております。はい、so again, I'll see you again soon. Sleep on this story and let's come back with a fresh mind. ちょっと得た情報を持って眠りについてまた新しい脳みそでまっさらな状態でもっと謎解明 OK みたいな状態でねまた帰ってこれたらなと思いますでは皆様の、お名前を読ませていただきます。 I will read out your names before I go とループさんありがとうございました。 Thank you for joining. ディオセプさんMuch less of an old one, right? ありがとうございました。モメントさんも Have a good night you as well. Thank you for the stream. Well, thank you all for coming. ということで以上かな。お越しくださいましてありがとうございました。また次回お会いいたしましょう。I will see you again soon. Take care. Drink water. Stay hydrated, stay in a cool place. If you live on the southern hemisphere, stay warm. 南半球にいらっしゃる皆様は暖かくして、北半球に住んでいる皆様は涼しくしてお水をしっかり飲んでお過ごしください。それではまたお会いしましょう。 I will see you again soon. それでは皆様ごきげんよう。おやすみなさい。Good night.